Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to TourismTechnology.com's webinar on influencer marketing. My name is Melissa Ennis, and I'm with Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador. We're located here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. We're very pleased you could join us today, and right now I'd just like to acknowledge participation from our partners on this project, the provinces of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, and the tourism industry associations of each province, including the Tourism Industry Association of New Brunswick, the Tourism Industry Association of Prince Edward Island, and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course Tourism Atlantic ACOA. The aim of TourismTechnology.com is to empower tourism operators in Atlantic Canada to improve their competitiveness by effectively using online technology. We provide operators with the skills, knowledge, and expertise to take advantage of current online tools and resources, offering one-on-one mentoring, workshops, and tutorials, all ranging from basic to advanced levels of learning. If you're following along online today, please feel free to tweet or post using the hashtag TourismTech. I would like to also bring attention to my colleagues in New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island who are on the webinar today, Allison Clark of TIPI and Jason Ferris with TIANB. Today we have Amy Fisher from Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. As the digital lead for Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism, Amy is a key player in the development and execution of the province's digital and social media strategies. She's going to chat with us today about influencer marketing. So without any further ado, I'll pass it on over to Amy to get started.
Thanks, Melissa, and welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today for this presentation. I'm going to be bringing you through just a little bit about what influencer marketing means today in this new digital world, and I'm going to bring you through some of our own influencer programs that we've been running since 2015. And I'm going to chat about how tourism operators can get involved in their own DMOs, influencer programs, and then also how you can establish your own influencer marketing program within your digital and social media strategy. So I want to start with a definition of what is a social media influencer. And really all that means is it's someone who wields influence through social media via powerfully engaged social media audiences. So it's somebody who has a large social media following, and that following really listens to what they have to say. And it's interesting because the concept of an influencer isn't anything new. We think of celebrities traditionally as being influencers, but the difference now is because of new technologies and the sphere of influence online, normal people are becoming influencers. So, we often will think, oh, if a celebrity endorses a product, that's the end-all, be-all. But really now, if you can reach a consumer who has a couple of thousand followers online, that is almost as effective as, or more so, than reaching out to a celebrity. As I mentioned, online word of mouth is really key now, and people really trust other people's opinions more so than they would trust a brand's opinion. So that's why people reach out to influencers to get endorsement of those products. So an influencer on social media could be, an Instagram influencer. It could be a YouTube influencer, somebody on Twitter, a blogger, or someone that has a website. And it's interesting because the top 10 social media influencers today, only 3 of them are actually celebrities, and the other 8 are just regular, normal people that happen to have a really large social media following. And a lot of those people are YouTube stars, and that's something that's been really popular, especially with the centennial market. It's following these really popular people online and on YouTube. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, are these people that aren't necessarily celebrities, but they found a niche and they become experts in a certain field. And in our case, that's travel and tourism. And we look to reach their audiences, to influence them to travel to Newfoundland and Labrador, and to purchase products from our tourism operators. So it's interesting to look at the changing media landscape. So traditionally, as a DMO and a PMO, we would look at bringing in a really large publication, and we still do. It's still part of our marketing strategy. It's just we've added more tools to our online and digital toolbox, and as online has evolved and shifted, so has our strategy. So we would bring in large publications and travel writers from those publications, And then things started to evolve, and those publications went online. And then we were seeing that our stories were being viewed with almost more frequency and circulation online, and they had a further reach than the print publications. And then we noticed this trend of people starting blogs. So you all of a sudden didn't have to be a huge publication with printing capability. Now, with the ability to start your own website with relative ease, we have people who are starting websites around these experiences and products that they have a lot of interest in, and then they're getting a following based on their passion for that topic area. And then even more recently is that we're finding that some people don't even need a website. They're just using social media channels to reach these audiences. So people who take really nice photographs on Instagram, people who really like taking videos and editing videos on YouTube. And it's become a lot more accessible with the technology, which has given rise to this whole new landscape of what we call influencers. So like I said earlier, instead of focusing on these one or two kind of celebrities or these big publications, now we're able to reach vast audiences through these areas of micro-influence. And what really, when we're looking at influencers, the content that they are creating is what we refer to as user-generated content. And user-generated content can be from travelers, or it can be from people who have have following in travel and tourism, and they have a bit of a larger audience. But really, what this societal shift that has happened with our technology, it has turned consumers into consumers of content into content producers themselves, and that's why brands are working with normal average people and people who have a bit of a larger following. And people do that because, like I said earlier, people trust online word of mouth and the word of mouth of their friends and family more so than what comes from a brand. So 92% of consumers trust word of mouth over any other form of advertising. 87% of marketers use UGC for authentic content, and 72% of marketers use UGC to drive engagement. So that's just really interesting from a brand perspective, and especially from a PMO perspective, because there's always going to be a place for campaign-created content and our own brand and our TV ads and our Globe and Mail, print ads and our social media. But really what we are now putting a focus on is advocacy from our travelers that have been here, or from people who have a following of dedicated audience around travel and tourism, and trying to get them to influence their audience that this is a destination that they should come to. So that's part of our influencer strategy, and really what you see with a lot of brands that are creating influencer strategies is that influencers are used to cultivate communities, to tell your brand story, to showcase authentic content, and to extend reach. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to reach these influencers' audiences with our brand message so that we can gain that little bit of influence. So there are a number of goals that you can look at trying to achieve when you're working with influencers, and these are just a couple of top goals that a lot of brands, why they use influencers. So one would be to drive traffic to your website. Another could be to increase your social media exposure or awareness. So for example, if you wanted to increase your following on maybe Instagram or Facebook, and you have, if somebody includes an @ mention of your brand, that's going to put eyeballs onto your handle and perhaps give you some more followers. Or even mentioning your brand in a tweet or a post or a blog will all of a sudden give you that little bit of brand awareness that this relevant audience might not have known about you before. And then also to sell your products through their recommendation or story about their experience. If you are a boat tour operator and somebody has a really cool picture of them on your boat tour with an iceberg or a whale, that is a really great way to have that recommendation and to influence their audience to go and kind of take that boat tour. So influencers will kind of try to achieve those goals through a number of ways. So they'll generate content about your brand. They'll create that photo. They'll create a video. They'll recommend your brand to their loyal following. and they insert themselves into conversations surrounding the niche of your brand. What we find is that a lot of people who are influencers are influencers because they are very specific around a certain topic area. Just moving away from travel and tourism, you see a lot of influencers on YouTube around makeup, doing makeup tutorials. You see a lot of influencers on Instagram around fashion, and you see a lot of fashion brands trying to get people to take pictures in their clothes, so they'll send free clothing to influencers, or they'll offer to pay influencers. So we're doing the same strategies, just in the field of travel and tourism. So we're bringing in people that are generating great content with really nice photos of traveling around the world, and we want to be included in that consideration set. And it's important to note that true influence drives action, not just awareness. So the role of these influencers, if you think about it as almost like a dinner party, and somebody's there and they're really talking about this great electrician that they had and how they recommend them, you would trust that person because they're your friend. So influencer marketing is kind of the same thing. People have a large following, and these people really are loyal, and they really think the world of what these influencers have to say. So if they recommend something, they are that friend who's kind of doing the matchmaking between your product and service and then the consumer who's thinking of purchasing that. So I just want to revisit our strategy, and then I'll go into our influencer campaigns. And it's important, before we start talking about tactics and how to bring in an influencer and who you're bringing in, it's always important to revisit your overarching strategy, because that really guides what you're going to do with regards to influencer marketing. So this is what we call the pathway to persuasion and purchase, and this is the consumer journey and how they decide if they're going to come to Newfoundland and Labrador on their next vacation. So for Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism, we really focus on the beginning of this path, so making people aware of the destination and then interested in the destination, and providing them with the information that they need to be able to make that decision and to then make those purchases that will help them build their trip and put it together. So for example, awareness for us is, influencer marketing and our TV ads and our print campaigns. And our website and also our social media kind of goes into that information search and evaluation, as well as our travel guide. And then ultimately there's a purchase trigger, and someone decides, okay, I'm coming to Newfoundland and Labrador on my next trip, 2018. And then so they make that purchase experience. So that doesn't happen on our side. That happens with the individual tourism operators. They'll go and they'll book a hotel room. They'll book their car rental. They'll book their flight, and then they'll book some of their attractions and activities that they're going to be doing. And then the brand experience itself, which is when they get here, that's also with the industry and with tourism operators. So it's fulfilling on the brand promise that we've created in our advertising. And where we come back into play is the post-purchase behavior. So when people are on the ground or when they leave, sharing those experiences through online word of mouth, and sharing photos of their trip, writing online reviews on TripAdvisor, and convincing their friends and family, or if they're an influencer with a large number of followers, convincing them that this is the next destination that they need to go to. So to fulfill on that pathway to purchase, we use a communication strategy called POEM, Paid, Earned, and Owned Media, and that's really what drives consumers through that funnel and through that path. So I'll just touch on that now. So what we mean by paid, earned, and owned media, so owned media is the content that you create and you own as a brand, so your campaign images, your website, your Facebook page. Earned media is what other people are saying about you, so that could be a traveler, that could be a travel writer, it's that organic word of mouth. And paid media is the actual money that you put behind your marketing. So you're putting display ads or Google AdWords, or you're buying a specific TV spot. So for us, what we find is the most successful is where there's convergence among these three. So if we have somebody who's written a really nice article about their experience traveling to Newfoundland and Labrador, we'll pay to promote that because that extends the reach of that content. Likewise, we'll often share earned media on our own channels, on our website, and on social media because it shows that third-party, authentic content. So as an example, again, of own content, it's a campaign picture. That's something that we took, that we made part of our advertising campaign. Earned content is a photo that maybe our traveler took of us, or maybe an influencer that we had brought in. And then paid content is us paying to promote, maybe it's our own, maybe it's earned, maybe it's an article, but we're putting a little bit of advertising money just to extend our reach and to make sure that we are reaching as many of our potential consumers as possible, and again, influence them to move them down that pathway to persuasion and purchase, and direct them to our website to go through that information search and evaluation phase. So for us, our goal is to create a community of engaged ambassadors. We want a place where people can share their experiences and stories and travel tips. And ultimately, we want to provide information and inspiration to influence people to travel to Newfoundland and Labrador. And our objectives for social media, with all the content that we post, we actually created a new content strategy this year and revisited all these objectives. And it's important to note here that we have our marketing and advertising objectives, and then we have digital objectives, and then we have website and social media objectives. So this is a little bit down in terms of our overall strategy. So it's important to kind of create these goals and objectives before you start creating tactics, because everything that you do should always ultimately drive back to, is this going to achieve one of my goals? So for us, we want to build brand awareness on social media. We want more people to know about Newfoundland and Labrador as a destination. We want to increase traffic to newfoundlandlabrador.com. That is where we house all of our tourism operator data. That is where all of our tourism operators are listed, and all their websites, their email addresses, their social media links. So that's where we want to be driving people so that they can have that purchase trigger and actually start booking and planning their vacation. We want to increase engagement. We want people positively talking about our brand, sharing about our brand, and really engaging in that dialogue around travel and trip planning. We also engage in social media so that we have better SEO for our brand. And we also want to increase advocacy through online word of mouth, like we spoke about. So we measure that by people using our official hashtag ExploreNL, amongst other things, which I will get into later in the presentation. So our strategy is to focus on a select number of social media websites, and we choose those by whether or not they fulfill our objectives based on audience, relevance, and user engagement. So that's really important because social media is very time-consuming, as we all know, and even though it's perceived as free, nothing in this world is free. So it's very time-consuming, and also because due to algorithms on these channels, even if you're producing the greatest content in the world, unless you're putting a little bit of money behind your posts to promote them or to create ads, no one's going to see that content. So for us, we want to make sure that we're choosing the sites that are the most relevant to our potential consumers, that we're going to where they are engaging and where they're spending their free time, so that we get the greatest bang for our buck in terms of investment, both with our human resources and our financial resources. So that's a good segue into our influencer programs, because we started social media influencer marketing in 2015, and we did that because we decided to introduce Instagram into our social media toolbox. So we introduced Instagram based on our social media strategy. We were actually one of the last provinces to get on Instagram, and I'll tell you why in the next slide. But it was a big deal for us to add another social media website because it takes so much time and so much resources, and we didn't want to be on a channel unless we knew we could do it really well and that we could satisfy our audience with valuable and engaging and relevant content. So we introduced Instagram in January of 2015, and at the same time we launched our official hashtag ExploreNL, and we knew that we were a little bit late getting into this space. So to make sure that we were going to be able to really get nice traction and momentum, we decided to launch an influencer campaign in July of that year called Journey NL, and that was kind of going to be our launch and our boost for Instagram and our official hashtag. So there were a number of challenges when we started, as I alluded to just then. We had limited time and resources, and based on our strategy, we wanted to make sure that we were making the right decision for our team. This to the left is our primary target audience. So in 2015, when you thought of Instagram, those definitely weren't the target market or the demographic that you would picture using Instagram, which is primarily a mobile-based social media platform. And then also, we had to really consider stakeholder engagement. How many of our tourism operators were on Instagram? Would our partners be supportive of us putting financial and human resources into this specific social media channel? But there were also a number of opportunities for us. Instagram we recognize as a great place for visual storytelling, especially for a travel brand. We also have a secondary target market, which is millennials aged 24 to 35. So this is a great way to reach that market with a relatively low investment. We had a be there first strategy in terms of getting on this network before our primary target audience got on the network. So even now, in 2017, approaching 2018, we're actually finding that a lot of our audience, while the majority of it still is in that millennial segment, we are seeing more and more of that baby boomer market starting to get on that channel. So they're sometimes considered digital laggards in that sense, but so we wanted to be there and make sure we had a good presence so that when that market finally kind of got onto that platform, that we were there and we were ready and we already had some content built up and a following built up, so we were a little bit authoritative on that channel. And finally, we wanted to generate earned media and user-generated content. So we do, as part of our social media strategy, we want to share engaging content, and part of that is sharing content from our travelers and from influencers. And Instagram is a really great place to cultivate that type of content. So with that, we launched the Journey Newfoundland and Labrador influencer campaign, where we brought in 6 of the world's most influential travel photographers and Instagram influencers. We brought them in for 10 days, and we did a province-wide tour, and we generated 90 UGC images out of the campaign. So because we were new on Instagram, we had support from Destination Canada or Explore Canada, and we partnered with them to launch this campaign. And that was great because Explore Canada, Instagram was actually their primary social media channel, whereas Facebook was our primary channel. So this is a good way to partner with them to learn best practices. They had a lot of influence in that market, and they were really excited to get some photographers and influencers here to capture our scenery and our unique differentiating products and experiences. So we also set our campaign goals early on in the campaign, and these also stem from our overall social media goals. So we wanted to grow and populate our Instagram account and also our official hashtag. That was one of our primary goals for the campaign. We wanted to reach and explore our secondary target market. We wanted to build brand awareness and incite travel. And of course, we wanted to create social media content and increase engagement. And it was a really good campaign because we were generating content for Instagram, but that content could also be shared across our other social media channels. And then we were able to encourage people from our other social media channels to start to follow us on Instagram. So it was a little bit of a feedback loop there. And of course, we also wanted to learn best practices from Destination Canada in how to host influencers and how to run these sorts of campaigns. So as part of the campaign, we also had an amplification partner. So we partnered with Herschel, who had actually been here in the fall doing their lookbook. So it was a really great opportunity to partner with another brand, and that was another really big brand on Instagram who helped amplify our message, and we got to reach their audience as well as our influencers' audience. So Herschel actually created the website for us that aggregated all the content. It talked a little bit about the campaign. It featured who all the influencers were. And this is really key for us because not only did we want to have photos that we were sharing on Instagram and on Facebook, but we wanted a place where we could direct people to follow along on the campaign and also to direct people through our paid advertising initiatives so that they could go and explore all of our partners, our partner websites, and then all of the imagery all in one place. So when we were selecting influencers, we were very selective on who we wanted to choose. So we made sure that they had a large following in our key markets, so our geographic markets and also our demographic segments. We wanted to make sure they had high engagement on their posts. You'll find there's lots of people out there who have a really high following, but there's not a lot of people that have a high following and a lot of engagement. So by engagement, I mean comments, really qualitatively good comments, so people who are asking questions and sharing stories. We wanted to make sure that their photography style aligned with our brand and product experience. And we wanted them to really want to come here. We wanted them to be excited. That's the one thing when you're partnering with influencers is that you want to make sure that both of your branding is on the same level, because influencers often won't partner with brands if they feel like their audience will feel like they're selling out. So all the influencers that we've approached have been really genuinely excited to come here because it's unique, it's off the beaten path, and it's a place that they really feel like they can come and explore, and it's a place that their audience would really appreciate them coming to and get excited about. So we brought them in, and like I said, it was for 10 days across the province, and it resulted in 90 UGC images, a lot of likes, 878,000 likes, and about 8,500 comments. And here are just some examples. So this photo had 17,000 likes, 263 comments, such as, "My soul longs to be here." This photo had just over 18,000 likes, 99 comments, like, "Dude, I'm getting tickets next week." And like we talked about earlier, influencers, you want their, not just to raise awareness, but they're also to be action. So we want people to feel that sense of urgency, like, I need to go to this place, I need to go and experience this for myself. And when we go back to our marketing objectives and we measured, okay, how successful was this campaign, in addition to all of those metrics that I just showed you, which were, you can't get any better than that in terms of engagement. It was one of our most successful social media campaigns in terms of engagement and likes and comments, and then also the qualitative comments like I just showed you. But if you looked at our follower growth, so before the trip we had about 5,000 followers. So right after the trip, so it was only 10 days, we had a 108% increase. And then by 2016, we had a 274% increase in follower growth, which we were obviously very ecstatic about. In terms of our hashtag ExploreNL, that worked out also really well. We had about 1,100% increase post the campaign. And then between the campaign and 2016, we had a 256% increase. And that was really good for us. So that meant that people were seeing these influencers sharing pictures and using our hashtag and mentioning us. So we got that increase in our followers, but then also we were getting all of this content coming in. So we had a ton of great photography from just regular travelers and ambassadors and local residents, and we were able to repurpose that content on our website and on our social media channels. So after that campaign, in 2016, Instagram really became a primary social channel for us. Facebook is still, I would say, our primary social channel, just given the demographic and that community that we've created. But Instagram is definitely a close second. It has certainly trumped Twitter in terms of that ability for us to tell a really great story about the province and for people to share with us. Our follower and our ExploreNL growth continued to increase. We didn't get that huge burst that we did when we had the campaign, but it was steadily increasing, and we were getting about 200 images shared with us a day via our Explore Now hashtag. And by the end of 2016, we had brought in a couple of single influencers. We didn't put in a campaign around anything, but we did have great success through our travel media program, bringing in a handful of Instagram influencers. But in 2017, we knew we had two really big projects coming up. We were launching our Explorers Wanted campaign, our 2018 advertising campaign, and we were also relaunching Newfoundland and Labrador.com. And with those two campaigns, UGC was a big component of both of them, and we really wanted to create some excitement around our campaign and around our website. So we knew on our new website we wanted to really incorporate UGC images more and have it not just be our campaign content and our messaging. We wanted that level of authenticity on our website. And then we thought also with this Explorers Wanted campaign, it was a great opportunity to tie in on-the-ground travelers. So our campaigns usually run from January to May. So by bringing in people in the summer, it was a way to kind of extend that campaign, and as you'll see, it was really successful. So part of our campaign goals were to create social media content and increase engagement. Again, we wanted to build brand awareness with an audience some unique audiences that may not have been familiar with this province as a travel destination. We wanted to increase website traffic and engagement on the Explorers Wanted campaign page. And we wanted to populate and grow our Instagram account and official hashtag. And as you'll notice, this actually was our last goal, whereas our last campaign, that was our first goal. And the reason, it was still important for us, but from 2015 to 2017, we had actually achieved a lot of growth on our Instagram and with our Explore Now hashtag. So while we definitely wanted to get another nice boost in our numbers, really our primary concern with this campaign was getting that really great content and also really contributing to our Explorers Wanted campaign. So we just kind of shifted around our goals a little bit based on that knowledge. So here was our Explorers Wanted campaign page. So we launched a series of videos earlier this year, and it was all about exploring the province. We launched this really cool campaign page that was a 360 immersive experience, and it had a constellation theme, so you could kind of move your mouse around the sky if you want to play around with it after. It's explorerswanted.ca. So that launched earlier in the year, and people could click on these different areas and look at our USPs, and it tied into our Viking messaging, our unique propositioning, where we were one of the first places to be discovered by a number of different groups. So then later in the year, we said, okay, well, we're going to bring in our own explorers. So we're going to bring in 6 explorers who are going to explore these different content areas. So we did. So we brought in 6 different explorers, and this time we did things a little bit differently. We actually brought them in for 5 days each, but we did it consecutively because we wanted to extend the life of the campaign, and that was just a little bit of learning from our last campaign. It was just a lot to have 6 people all at once for 10 solid days. So this meant we had fewer images, but it gave us more time to really meet with the influencers, really kind of communicate our campaign goals, and to extend that campaign over the course of a month rather than 10 days. So again, we brought them across the province, and this was on our website. So as they posted content while they were on the ground, we actually automatically populated our website so people could follow along. This is similar to our other campaign with Herschel, where Herschel actually created the aggregated campaign page, except this time we did it for our brand because we wanted to, again, send traffic back to explorerswanted.ca. So this is a really cool place to send people because every day they could tune in and there'd be a new photograph, there'd be a new story to be told, and you could see it all happening live on this interactive map. So the campaign was another really great success for us. We had 39 images in total created, just about almost 8,000 comments. And again, almost 780,000 likes, which is great because we had almost half the amount of images, but we actually had more engagement than we did in 2015. And we had great images like this one. The colors are beautiful, and now Newfoundland is way up on my list. Or this one, toying with the idea of going to Carpoon in June 2018 as part of 3 weeks in Newfoundland looks like well worth the cost and effort to get up there. So when we're talking about actionable influence, I mean, comments like this one really just kind of speak to that we are really influencing people to travel here and not just, to one or two places. Like, they're taking the time to come here and really explore the whole province. And as one of our campaign goals was to increase traffic to Explorers Wanted, you can see here over the campaign period, we compared it to one of our other campaign pages. And, our sessions were over 2,000% higher than our other campaign page, more page views, about 1,500%. So we were really doing a great job of driving traffic to explorerswanted.ca. But my favorite part of this whole campaign was our time on site. So we actually had close to 17 minutes time on site, which is just like unheard of, really. It's that level of engagement on a website. So for somebody to come to our website and spend 17 minutes on it, and that's the average. So, and our bounce rate was like less than 15%. So people were really engaged with this content that told us that this was something that our audience really enjoyed. And we were able to extend our campaign period from January, say, to late April, early May, all the way to the end of August. So it really, in terms of ROI, it gave us a lot more of a return on investment in creating that website. And then with this campaign, our follower growth was 10% and 6% since the campaign finished at the beginning of August. And our ExploreNL hashtag also grew 23 and 28%, and whereby, whereas we were averaging around 200 images a day in 2016, now in peak season, and especially during this campaign, we were getting about 500 images a day being shared with us via our ExploreNL hashtag, all pretty much travel and tourism related within the province. We had very little content that was not relevant being shared with us. And then our other goal, of course, was to create content so we could share UGC images on our new website. So if you go to newfoundlandlabrador.com, we launched that, what was it, August? Yeah, I think we launched that at the end of August. You can see here that we've really incorporated UGC images. And the really cool thing about this is now we can actually link UGC images with tourism operator profiles on our website. So if an influencer or a user shares an awesome photo with us, we can say, and people can be like, oh my God, I love that picture. And now we can directly say, well, you like this picture? Here's how you can experience that for yourself. So here you can see we had an influencer share this awesome image of Grossmore National Park. And then we could say, oh, you're on our website and you're having a look through our authentic third-party user-generated photos. Oh, I really want to get to that location and get my picture taken there. Well, here you can, and it brings you right to the Grossmore National Park operator detail page on newfoundlandlabrador.com. So again, you're talking about moving people down the pathway to persuasion and purchase, and really having that purchase trigger between information search and evaluation, and then actually making that booking. This makes it one step and a whole lot easier to get people from inspiration to information down that pathway. And of course, we also put paid media behind this campaign as part of our POEM strategy, and we were really happy with those results. So we created this with Instagram influencers on Instagram, but we also shared the images on our Facebook and Twitter channels, and this is where we were able to promote that. So just wanted to just show that we had a 36-cent cost per conversion and 4 cents cost per action. So in terms of paid media, that was also really great and just showed us that it was content that people really wanted to engage in, because we barely had to pay any money to get them to engage and look at our content. So if you're wondering how to get involved in our programs, there's a number of ways. So This in particular is part of travel media and digital marketing. We work together with our travel media team to select influencers and then we work on the campaign part of that initiative to bring them in. So I would recommend when you know that we have or your province has a campaign and market to really engage with it, to go and follow those specific influencers that are coming in, comment on the posts and the photos. That's really important, and to share the photos so people can see that your business name and so that you have that involvement in the campaign. Contact your regional DMOs because they help us create our itineraries. So when we bring in influencers, just like any other travel media, we create itineraries for them to see based around the type of photography or story that we want them to tell. So work with your regional DMO and let them know that you're interested in participating in these types of campaigns. And even if your specific product or business isn't going to be one of those featured photos in that Instagram feed, they might mention you in their story, which is a lot more relaxed and casual, the stories on Instagram, than the actual posts themselves. Or they might include you in their comments, like, oh, I stayed at this really sweet B&B. So it's really nice that you can kind of get involved in that way. And then, of course, our province in particular, we have open mic programs, so it's really important to let us know about new products and experiences because our travel media team is always looking for that to bring to their media shows and, again, in creating itineraries. And then you can also create your own influencer program. And I just want to emphasize that you don't need to have something to the scale that your PMO would have for it to be successful. So it's not about the size of the audience. It's about how engaged and how contextually relevant the content is. So you don't need to be bringing in the world's top influencers and spending, you know, a couple of $1,000s to be working with people. It's much easier than that. So a couple of just pieces of advice if you're creating your own campaign. So really make sure you set your social media and content strategy first. And make sure that you set your goals and objectives so that's very clear. So we talked about this earlier. So you could have sales goals or specific website visitation, or you want to increase your engagement, or you want to increase your social media following. Determine what's right for you and for your business. And then you want to find the right fit. You want to find the right influencers for you to work with. So that could be a collaborative partner, like another tourism operator. Maybe there's some cross-promotion opportunities between an accommodation and a tour, for example. Or it could be a contractual partner. So you could actually hire a local blogger or a travel writer or an influencer to actually create content on your behalf and to share with their audiences. And if you're wondering, okay, this is all great, but how do I know who is an influencer and who should I work with? There's a number of different tools that you can use. Most what we do is just social media monitoring. We look at hashtags. We look at who's popular. We look at who's been using our ExploreNL hashtag. And these are all tools that are open and available for you to use as well. And, of course, you can also reach out to your DMO and ask them, hey, I want to work with somebody. Do you have anyone you can recommend? And when you're vetting influencers, it's important to keep three things in mind, and we call it the 3 R's. So relevance, you know, is this person relevant to travel and tourism? Are they sharing contextually relevant material? And is it on brand? Do you both have similar styles? So is it going to be complementary, or is the influencer's audience going to be taken aback when they start sharing your product or service? And so you want to make sure that it's complementary and that it's contextually relevant. And then what's the reach of these influencers? Like I said earlier, it's not about how many followers they have. In fact, all the research that has come out recently says that influencers with 10,000 to 100,000 followers are more influential than influencers with 1 million plus followers. And that's because they can be more engaged with their audience because it's smaller. And they're also easier to work with, frankly. So, you know, you don't need to have that large scale. You can work with micro influencers. And actually, McDonald's does that. They are now reaching out to people who have like 2,000, 5,000 followers, and they're just giving them free stuff just to post their content. And you also want to make sure that your target audience, that their followers are actually who you're trying to target. And then also resonance. So looking at their posts, it's very popular for people to buy influencers. There's actually bots that you can pay like $5 and they'll get all these fake accounts to go and follow you. So when you're looking at working with someone and they say, oh yeah, I have 20,000, 50,000 followers, go through their posts and make sure that there's actual real comments and engagement and that they haven't just purchased some followers. And again, ask your GMO. We work with a lot of these people and we work with Destination Canada, so we'll be able to point you in the right direction. And then you want to determine your deliverables. So again, this is based on your goals and objectives that you had outlined. So where are they going to post? Is it going to be on their Instagram? Are they going to do it on YouTube, on Facebook, all three? Do they have a blog? Are they going to take pictures and write a story? Make sure you determine all of this up front so it's very clearly communicated so there's no false expectations. What are they going to post? Are they going to post on your channel as well? We played around with doing some takeovers with our influencers where they actually took over our Instagram account and did stories on our behalf. How often are they going to post? Once a day, twice a day, once a month. You have to kind of get that laid out as well. And once you have your deliverables confirmed, you're going to want to create a contract. So outline the specific deliverables that you want to have them achieve for you. Determine content ownership. So once they take these pictures, who owns them? Are you allowed to repurpose them on your own channel? If you want to put them in an advertising campaign, are you allowed to use the photo, or is there going to be additional purchasing fees? So you want to determine that up front. And then you want to agree on compensation. And there's a number of ways you can compensate an influencer. It could be financial, which, I don't think that it necessarily has to be financial. For us at this level, we sometimes do that. But a lot of times all people are looking at is maybe even just a reciprocal shout-out. So I'll mention you if you mention me, and if we both have some cross-promotional mutual benefit. Or it could be a product discount or a giveaway. Oh, you can come on my tour for free if you just write about it in your blog post. Or maybe the commission. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about compensating influencers as long as it's mutually beneficial and that they're getting, you're both getting value. And then, of course, you want to measure your results. So again, based on your goals and objectives, you could look at sales, engagement, website traffic. A few common ones are from social media. Track your mentions, your hashtag usage. Measure it before the campaign starts, and then measure it after to make sure that, and make sure you write it down, because sometimes on certain social media channels it's really hard to find the data going backwards. So make sure that you're staying on top of those different metrics. You might want to track engagement of the post, how many likes, comments, shares. The website, you might want to track your visits, your bounce rates, your time on site. You can track specific sales if you have an online booking engine. And finally, I just wanted to mention that you can, you don't have to have your own influencer campaign at all, because there are a number of micro-influencers. So just regular travelers, people who are coming and participating with you are in, they are influencers as well. Like somebody that has 100 or 200 friends on Facebook, they're also influencers. And that, again, it's that online word of mouth. So you can also just collect and share user-generated content from people who are sharing about your business. So a couple of best practices to follow is if you notice that somebody has shared something that's relevant to your business, make sure you ask for permission. It's not inherent, even if someone uses your hashtag, that you get to share it. So always make sure that you have permission from the person who's posted the photo. You want to vet users for quality control. As I mentioned earlier, look at their following. Is it real? And just because somebody has a really good picture, go back and look at what else they've posted, because sometimes people might have content that doesn't align with your brand, and you don't want to align yourself with that person. And also focus on establishing long-term relationships. These types of campaigns are great because they give you, they meet your campaign goals in short bursts, but ultimately the real success is in building these long-term relationships with influencers and micro-influencers over the long haul, so that you're always getting this constant stream of content from ambassadors. When people come and experience your business, ask them to upload their photos. If you see somebody that's taking, photos on their trip, just say, hey, would you mind if you're uploading those, tagging my business or using this hashtag? I'd love to share it with my followers. Participate online. If we have an influencer campaign or you see people, you're tracking hashtags, you see somebody share a really cool photo, make sure that you comment from your business profile so that you're engaging in that conversation. And also you can incentivize it. So if you see people and they are constantly sharing really good content about your business, give them a free tour or, give them like a gift card. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go about encouraging people, but for the most part, people love seeing their images shared. They love taking a picture and seeing brands share it. It gives them a really nice feeling. So, and for a lot of cases, even just sharing is enough of an incentive to continue to do so. So thank you for participating with me today in influencer marketing, and I hope that you learned a little bit about influencers and how to create an influencer campaign and engage with your DMO. And if you're ever out and about in Newfoundland and Labrador, if you're a tourism operator from Newfoundland and Labrador, don't forget to engage with us using our hashtag and our official accounts.
Wow, thank you so much, Amy. That was a lot of information, guys, I know, but I think it was a lot of really good tips for people, regardless of what type of tourism organization they're working in. You get to see Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism's perspective on how they launch certain campaigns and the reasoning behind that. And then, of course, from a smaller operator's perspective, you get to pick up on a lot of good tips on ways that you can take advantage of user-generated content, get involved in more, and participate in more campaigns that are happening online, especially by your DMOs or your provincial marketing organization, whether it be government or whoever it is that's doing the marketing in your province. At this time, we'll open it up to any questions that you may have for Amy, whether it's about influencer marketing specifically, perhaps Instagram or any of those types of things. You feel free to type in the chat window there. If you're on the phone, you can press #6. That could unmute your phone line. So we'll have just a minute if there's any questions before we close up. Okay, so I'm not hearing or seeing any questions, just seeing a few compliments for of Amy there. I saw someone raise a hand. Tara, if you have a question, unmute your phone line or feel free to type it in the chat window. All right, everybody. If you're wondering what your next steps are after this webinar, there are many different technology learning options available to you simply by contacting your provincial TIA. We'd be happy to help you determine your next steps, whether that be one-on-one mentoring with one of our technology coordinators, further workshops or training opportunities, or if you just simply have questions about your online technology. Thank you again to Amy. It really was a great presentation, and we had a lot of valuable information covered today. As participants, you will be receiving a follow-up email with some more information and resources, such as those that we discussed today, as well as a link to an evaluation survey so you can give us your feedback. Please check out tourismtechnology.com for a complete list of resources and future training opportunities, or call your Provincial Tourism Industry Association. Again, thank you to our partners, the provinces of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, as well as the tourism industry associations in each province, TIANB, TIPI, and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course Tourism Atlantic, ACOA. Thanks again to everybody for joining today, and we look forward to working together with you in the future.